Few days back only, I came across this news clipping. So what does it show? There's this car, Mercedes, which has been, the surface of this car has been painted with a new solar paint. And what does it say? It says that it could boost the EV range by 7456 miles, or to be precise in the Indian scenario, I would say for up to 12,000 kilometers annually. So the solar paint itself can generate enough energy to power a car for up to 12,000 kilometers annually. And this solar paint, generally, when we go for sustainability initiatives, whenever we adopt a sustainable approach, the challenge that comes for MSMEs and the common society people, that is the cost part. So they have also taken care of this thing. The solar paint is quite cheap than the other conventional solar modules, that the paint that is being used for this car. And the energy that is generated, that can be used to drive directly, or there's a battery system also. The excess energy produced, that can be feeded into the battery system. And so because of all this, there's no need to plug in for the charging. And this discussion is going on in some group after this news clipping was shared. So look at the concepts that are evolving. I will just take you through it. So someone said that there's a technology called V2G, vehicle to grid, that has come up. And what happens in that technology? That there are bi-directional charging stations to communicate with the power grid. Because someone was worried that too much battery charging would burst the battery. So someone replied that there is bi-directional charging station now, which could communicate with the power grid, and there will be a push and pull energy system. So if there is excess energy that is produced, it will be pushed to the grid instead of being used in the car. So there are many concepts under this ESG that are evolving and coming up. And it is a good opportunity area for the businessmen also, and for us professionals also. I'll keep discussing the professional opportunities in between, because I know this is such a topic where everyone will have a question in mind that CAs इसमें क्या करेंगे, हम professionals इसमें क्या करेंगे. So I'll keep on discussing the opportunities as we go through the discussion. So this is another thing that I noticed at one of the airports. Any of you if any of you can guess which airport this is, and you can type in the chat box. So what does this say? Your airport uses eco-certified cleaning products, and it is one of the first Indian airports to publish sustainability report as per GRI standards. So people have replied Bangalore, and some have replied Mumbai. So yes, it's the Mumbai T2 airport where I noticed this thing. But all the airports are now adopting sustainability in one or the other manner, because aviation is one of the sectors which has a lot of carbon footprint. So many airports are going towards this concept. And Bengaluru has, recently launched a new terminal, has come up with a new terminal at the airport. So even that terminal is fully, they have adopted sustainability initiatives over there. Another thing I wanted to show you was, this is a phone that has been designed and launched in some European country. And what does it say? So look at the way of advertising this phone. They say that it is made with sustainable materials, and 53%, it has 53 parts that are bio-based and made up of recycled materials. It has 100% recycled aluminum mid-frame, power button and volume button. So this is just to show that what is the future of advertising. Even the advertising industry will use such sustainable claims to advertise their products. We all use phones, so we have come across Apple iPhones. So even Apple, it declared in with iPhone 13, that with the box packaging, only with a layer of plastic that comes over this wrap, the outside plastic wrap that is over there on the box. By just removing that, they could lessen 600 metric tons of plastic. Okay, so these are some examples of what people are doing around the globe. And here's a QR code. You all can scan this maybe, or you can go to slido.com and type this code over there. And you can respond to this question. So I hope the screen is visible, the Slido screen. Nitinbhai, maybe you can confirm if the Slido screen is visible, with the results.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So yeah, I can see people have replied renewable energy, less use of plastic, going green, longevity, reusable.
Some of it, I think, is environmental protection.
Yes. Okay. So moving ahead. So what is ESG, first of all, if we go to the technical sophisticated terms that are there. So it is a framework basically that helps stakeholders understand what is the organization doing for ESG. What is it contributing to the environmental aspect, what it is contributing to the social aspect, and what to the governance aspect. If we look at the environmental aspect, there are areas like greenhouse gas emissions, waste management, pollution, water harvesting. If you look at the social aspect, यहाँ पे क्या क्या involved होता है? There are your investors, your society, employees, suppliers, customers. Or governance aspect में we have the leadership and management incentives. How do they align to the stakeholder expectations? और आपके क्या internal controls हैं organization में that are there so that they are aligned to the concept of sustainability. So if we look at the environmental elements, what are there? What is there? Climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, energy efficiency is there, biodiversity and conservation, recycling processes. Social elements may basically our employees and stakeholders are covered. So human rights are there, working conditions, chemical safety, equality and diversity. Governance elements may board composition, stakeholder engagement, ethical standards, all these things are there. Now, why is it important? It is important for your reputation, for reduced risk and losses, because now it is very important to shift towards a sustainable approach. If you're not shifting, then there is a risk of losing your employees, losing on the environmental part, and losing on the governance part. Opportunity, there'll be greater workforce productivity. If you look at the social aspect and if you care for your employees and stakeholders, there'll be better workforce productivity. Culture and intrinsic value. So this is a new concept and it will obviously give rise to new markets and new customers and new range of products and services. Now, first of all, why was ESG needed, first of all, and why has reporting come for sustainability? As professionals, we need to understand what is our role in this concept and why, first of all, reporting came in the first place. So there's a concept called greenwashing. कोई भी एरिया होता है, कोई भी प्रैक्टिस होती है, like we have technology, we have information technology, and we have cyber practices. But along with that, we have cyber fraud. So we have ESG, but along with that, we have greenwashing. So because of greenwashing, because of these scandals that are happening, ESG reporting has started and it is gaining importance every day. So what is greenwashing? It is a deceptive marketing practice used by companies and organizations. What happens in this practice? The companies and the organizations, they try to show that their products and services are environmentally conscious. They are ESG compliant. However, in actual, they are not. So it gives a misleading impression that yes, we are sustainable, but in actual, the company is not. And what are the negative effects of that? There's a loss of consumer trust, there's reputation damage, there's employee disengagement, and there are many legal consequences. If we look at one of the major scandals that happened here, there was this Volkswagen greenwashing scandal, which was popularly called Dieselgate. इस स्कैंडल में क्या हुआ? कंपनी जो कार्स प्रोड्यूस करती थी, जब वो लैबोरेटरी कंडीशंस में होती थी, तो जो टेस्टिंग सॉफ्टवेयर था that used to show good results, that used to show that the emissions from the car are under control and they are within the limits set by the authorities of US. However, when the cars were on the road, the software switched out of the test mode and the actual emissions were way above the emissions that were allowed in the US. So the cars used to, emit nitrogen oxide pollutants up to 40 times above what was allowed in the US. So this was a scandal, and many vehicles had to be called back because of this, and many dealers faced reputation loss because of this. There was a drop in sales of Volkswagen. There was a plunge in its shares, and it threatened obviously people's health because nitrogen oxide emissions were there, which were not good for the society, and it created a lot of hassle for the Volkswagen dealers. Then there was another case of Luton Airport recently in 2024. What happened here? The company claimed that it is carbon neutral. However, it was placing heavy reliance on offsetting the carbon emissions. So carbon emissions को offset करना क्या होता है? Suppose there's some organization X. It is producing Y amount of carbon emissions. However, हर country के emission trading standards हैं जिनके according limit set है that you can emit only up to this amount of carbon. So if the organization is emitting more amount of carbon than that, then it needs to offset it using the carbon credits. तो ये ल्यूटन एयरपोर्ट सिर्फ कार्बन क्रेडिट्स ऑफसेट ही कर रहा था. इन एक्चुअल ये एमिशन रिडक्शन पे वर्क नहीं कर रहा था. So this was one of the accusations here, and this case fall among the one of the greenwashing cases. And they were using these kind of banners at the airport where they said that if we miss our environmental limits, our expansion will be stopped in its tracks. So they realized, but then they were doing it through a false means. They were just, purchasing carbon credits and offsetting their carbon footprint. They were not focusing on actual reduction of the emissions at the inception. Similarly, H&M, we all have heard of. Decathlon, we all have heard of. What were these people doing? They were showing their products as eco-design products and environmentally conscious products. They even used an environmental labeling system जो कि products को grade करता था between A and E. However, when they were investigated by the authorities found out that the product, the fiber that is used, that is actually recycled polyester. However, it is not that sustainable. The company was making false claims and there was no such organic kind of thing in this. So there were many fines and penalties were imposed on them, and they had to pay for this. So there's this video also. I'll give you a background of this. So, this is a video from Apple, and they are showing that Mother Nature has come to their office, and she is, investigating. She's asking questions to every department head in Apple as to what is the status of their sustainability.
The video is not audible.
Its video is not audible
Yeah, yeah.
now.
No,
Anushri,
no.
I think it will not be ये proper audible हो नहीं पाएगा. I don't
Okay,
think.
so maybe I'll share the link later. We can skip
Yeah, yeah.
this.
No problem.
So moving on to ESG reporting now, because of the greenwashing cases that we discussed, uh, there was a need for ESG reporting. So all these sustainability initiatives that companies are taking, and they're claiming that yes, we are sustainable. There was a need to vouch for those things. There was a need to assure those things, and that is why ESG reporting came up. So even the Union Budget 2024-25 that was there, it was addressing climate change and sustainability. How was it addressing? So there were schemes like, they announced rooftop solar plants to enable 1 crore households to obtain free electricity up to 300 units every month. Then they announced a joint venture between NTPC and BHEL to set up 800 megawatt commercial plant using some AUSC technology. Then there was a taxonomy for climate change for enhancing the availability of capital. So this is how the budget has also announced some schemes towards climate change and sustainability. Then I want to show you this reporting related to waste in BRSR report. This is just one extract from one BRSR report. And this is from HUL's BRSR report for financial year 23-24. So, all the listed companies that are there in India, the top 1,000 listed companies by market capitalization, they have to prepare BRSR reports for reporting in ESG, and that is mandatory for them. So, this is one of the extracts from that report. What does it say? It is saying provide details related to waste management by the entity in the following format. And it is asking you for plastic waste, e-waste, biomedical waste, battery waste, radioactive waste, other hazardous and non-hazardous waste. So look at the amount and look at the level of classification that is being asked in the report. And imagine when we have to vouch for this, when we have to give assurance for all these things, uh, the amount of data needed for it, and the role that the CAs have to play. So, if the question comes to your mind that what will CAs do in this thing? So, the company is getting the report prepared from its in-house departments. However, the data that has been collected through various sources and it has been reported in the BRSR report, that has to be vouched by us. That has to be compared by us from various sources where we have to, vouch for the authenticity of the data being collected and reported in this BRSR report. And just like we have the Ind AS, we have the IFRS as our accounting standards. We have Ind AS in the Indian context, and we have IFRS on the global context. Similarly, we have standards for preparing this BRSR report, and those standards have to be followed. So we as chartered accountants, we as professionals step in here to, study those standards, to analyze those standards, and to assure that yes, the BRSR reports are in compliance with those standards. So this is how sustainability reporting took shape in Indian landscape. In 2009, first of all, national voluntary guidelines were issued, and these were related to CSR. So they were issued by MCA. Then in 2012, business responsibility report was made mandatory for filing by top 100 listed companies by market cap by SEBI. और ये बिजनेस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रिपोर्ट एनुअल रिपोर्ट के साथ फाइल करनी होती थी. सो 2012 से ही itself BRR का कॉन्सेप्ट आ गया था और इस पे रिपोर्टिंग भी स्टार्ट हो गई थी. It was just that it was only there for the top 100 listed companies. And now, if we travel further, so now from 2019, the BRR requirement was extended to top 1,000 listed companies. So from 2012 to 2019, the figure of 100 has converted to top 1,000 listed companies. Then corporate social responsibility provisions, we are all aware with the Companies Act 2013 that came up, and the CSR provisions that came along with it. So scope of BRR was broadened to top 500 in 2015. Then this integrated reporting framework was launched in 2017. However, that was a voluntary adoption only. In 2019, there was a major change, a landmark change. What happened in this year? National guidelines on responsible business conduct were released. And on this was the backbone, these were the backbone guidelines on which the BRSR report was based. And just after the release of these guidelines, BRSR report was introduced. So from BRR, the report was converted into BRSR. With the conversion, many more details were introduced and many more details are being asked in the BRSR report. So it is a very detailed version of the earlier BRR report. And with the NGRBC principles coming in place, this report becomes more and more important. In 2023, the BRSR reports were published by the listed companies as per the SEBI guidelines. So whatever guidelines are released by SEBI, whatever press releases come from SEBI, that also is our area. Now, for understanding BRSR report, we need to have knowledge of two background principles and goals that are there. One was NGRBC that I discussed here, and another is Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. So again, these are on the global context, and NGRBC are in the Indian context. They go both hand in hand. Both of them go hand in hand while preparing a BRSR report. So Sustainable Development Goals क्या हैं? ये United Nations ने frame किए हैं, and these are there for all the member countries. There are 17 goals in all, and they focus on things like no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education. So these are focusing on people. Then some are there which focus on the planet, like industry, innovation and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities. Some are there which focus on climate action, some focus on peace, and some focus on collaborations and partnerships within national partnerships or international partnerships for achieving all these goals. So these are the 5 pillars of the Sustainable Development Goals. Some focus on people, some focus on peace, that is just an inclusive society. Some focus on protecting the planet's natural resources, water and all. Some focus on partnership and some on prosperity like smart cities and all. And Sustainable Development Goals is one concept on the global context. And NGRBC is another concept in the Indian context. And based on NGRBC and SDGs only, we prepare the whole BRSR report. So NGRBC के अंदर में 9 principles हैं. What does principle 1 say? It says that business should govern themselves with ethics, transparency, and accountability. Principle 2 says your products and services, goods and services, dono, they should be safe and they should contribute to sustainability, not only at the inception but throughout their life cycle. So from the sourcing of raw materials to selling the products to the customers at the end stage, throughout the life cycle, the product should be sustainable. Sustainability should be followed at every step and they should be safe. Principle 3 talks about well-being of all employees. Principle 4 talks about being responsive to all stakeholders. Principle 5 is about human rights. I'm just giving you an overview of these principles so that when we discuss the extracts of BRSR reports, when we go through BRSR report, we will all be able to understand the same. Principle 6 is about restoring the environment. Principle 7 is about engaging in and influencing public and regulatory policy. Principle 8 is for growth and equitable development. आप सबको साथ में लेके चलो. Not only profit should not be the only motive. Sustainability talks about meeting the needs of the future without compromising meeting the needs of the present without compromising needs of the future. So you should use all your resources in a way कि आप आज भी काम कर सको and you take care of the future generations also, that they have enough resources to live peacefully and to carry out their businesses peacefully and sustainably. Principle 9 talks about providing value to consumers in a responsible manner. So like I discussed, we have our Ind AS and we have our IFRS. Ind AS in the Indian context and IFRS in the global context. Similarly, हमारे पास ISSB है, International Sustainability Standards Board, and this has been formed by our International Financial Reporting Standard Foundation only. The IFRS Foundation, which has its standards for accounts, for accounting, that has only formed the separate wing called as the Sustainability Standards Board. So if you go to the website, even to the website of IFRS Foundation, it has standards in accounting, and second, it has standards on sustainability now. And why is it there? Earlier also with IFRS also the accounting standards, the aim was to have unified accounting standards across the globe so that comparison becomes easier. Same is with sustainability. The idea is to have common sustainability standards across the globe so that ESG reports can be made comparable and जो investors हैं they can make more informed, better informed decisions through through this comparable ESG data. So I've already discussed the objective in brief. It addresses global consistency in ESG reporting. It it aligns with global sustainability and regulatory goals, and it supports transparency and accountability in ESG practices. So BRSR, we've already discussed what it is. Again, from financial year 22-23 onwards, it has become mandatory for the top 1,000 listed companies by market cap. And here we as professionals step in. We can be involved, we can be engaged in preparation of these reports also, BRSR reports, and for assurance of these reports as well. So for now, SEBI has not defined that who can provide assurance for these reports. Any expert is doing it right now. So the company secretaries, the cost accountants, the chartered accountants, even the engineers are there. They're all doing. But to give you an idea, I'll discuss one of the assignments that was there. So there was an assignment from a coal company. It was a PSU. And what kind of assignment was there? That instead of the dumpers that were there to transport coal from the point of mining the coal to the point of railway wagons from where they are transported further. इस बीच में जो डंपर्स काम कर रहे थे कोल के ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के लिए उसकी जगह दे डिप्लॉयड अ कन्वेयर बेल्ट. तो जो कन्वेयर बेल्ट डिप्लॉय हुई इंस्टेड ऑफ द डंपर्स दैट सेव्ड a lot of things on the side of carbon footprint because कन्वेयर बेल्ट से जो डंपर्स फ्यूल यूज कर रहे थे उसकी वजह से there was reduction in emission of pollution and carbon, and the conveyor belts were also efficient in terms of speed. A lot of time was saved, a lot of man hours were saved, a lot of drivers which were there driving the dumpers. उस account पे भी there were a lot of savings. So what was the assignment about? That you have to calculate the social, economic, and environmental impact of the dumpers being replaced by the conveyor belt. So जब economic impact calculate करना था तो उसके लिए they were looking for professionals like chartered accountants, and the tenders were asking for chartered accountants to do the economic analysis, and find out the economic impact of this project. So this is how professionals step in. Now, continuing with BRSR report, we have already discussed that NGRBC principles and sustainable development goals, two things are there which are the backbone of BRSR reporting. BRSR reporting के दो formats हैं, light and comprehensive. Light format MCA was about to issue for the small companies. However, the light format is not there right now. It has not become active. Comprehensive format is being used by the listed companies that are reporting under the BRSR framework, and it was introduced by SEBI. So if you go to the website of NSC, the BRSR reports of many companies are available there. All the top 1,000 listed companies are available there. Reports में क्या होता है? Section A talks about general disclosures. Section B talks about management and process disclosures. And Section C talks about principle-wise disclosures. So जो हमने NGRBC के 9 principles discuss किए थे, every principle पे reporting है. There are principle-wise questions which have to be answered. Some questions are essential, some are voluntary. So the mandatory ones are called essential indicators, the voluntary ones are leadership indicators. And there are some core areas that have been identified that yes, these are the main ones on which companies have to start working and compulsorily report, if not all the areas. What are the core areas that have been identified? GHG footprints, water footprint, energy footprint, waste management, employee well-being and safety, gender diversity, inclusive development. So all the listed companies, they have a lot of pressure because of the BRSR framework to source their raw materials from MSMEs now. So this is how a shift is happening. The MSMEs also need to be sustainably compliant so that the listed companies, so as to continue their dealing with the listed companies. So what happens is there's a concept MSMEs के जो carbon footprints हैं, MSMEs के जो emissions हैं, carbon emissions, MSME का जो भी ESG की तरफ contribution है, that will also count within the ESG contribution of listed company. So जो listed companies के vendors हैं, upstream and downstream purchasers and suppliers, उनके जो ESG contributions हैं, उनके जो carbon footprints हैं, they will also be counted within the carbon footprints of listed companies. So listed companies are laying a pressure on the MSME, on their MSME vendors and suppliers to be ESG compliant. And that is how we can approach all our all our MSME clients also to be ESG compliant if they want to continue business with the listed companies. Then we have fairness in engaging with customers and suppliers and openness of business. So what is the compliance timeline for this BRSR? The top 1,000 listed entities in India by market cap should prepare BRSR report. And from 2023-23 onwards, 23-24 was the first year when assurance was compulsory for BRSR reporting. Not the whole report, but some parts of it. So with this also, with assurance being compulsory from 23-24, and first time the assurance reports coming up, the role of professionals has increased, and there is a, you can say there's a hype in the market about sustainability. But yes, it is the right time to step into this field, because slowly and slowly the reporting requirements will grow, and we professionals have to cater to these reporting requirements. So to discuss, the SEBI has given a glide path for BRSR reporting. What is there in reporting of BRSR core KPIs? So it is mandatory for top 1,000 listed companies from financial year 2023-24. It was mandatory earlier also under BRR report, but this we are talking specifically about BRSR that has started from 2021, and first reports have been published from financial year 23 onwards. So reporting for BRSR core was mandatory from 23-24, and reasonable assurance was mandatory from 23-24 for the top 150 companies out of these 1,000. And slowly it will increase to top 1,000, all the top 1,000 by financial year 26-27. I'll also show you the example of assurance of the RSR report in the coming slides. Then value chain disclosure for BRSR core. So all your business that is happening with your upstream and downstream vendors, your purchasers and your customers on the other end, your purchasing part and your selling part. So all the value chain suppliers involved in the value chain, for those there are some sections in BRSR report. They will be on comply or explain basis. या तो आप उनसे comply कर लो, otherwise आप explain कर दो कि आपने क्यों नहीं comply किया है. So this is there for top 250 companies from 24-25, and slowly it may increase after 26-27. And then assurance is there for this value chain part for top 250 starting from 25-26. So abhi 18 December ko, like 2 days back, SEBI press release has come up, which is deferring value chain disclosure and its assurance by 1 year. So all this glide path will shift, will be deferred for 1 year for value chain part. However, this is there, BRSR code reporting and reasonable assurance for BRSR code. This is already started, and this will be according to the glide path. So because of the assurance starting, क्योंकि reasonable assurance start हो गया, क्योंकि BRSR mandatory हो गया 23-24 से, that is why in the professional landscape, among the professionals, BRSR and the concept of ESG, the concept of sustainability is gaining more and more importance. It is way more in the metro cities like Delhi and Bombay and Bangalore, and it is slowly gaining importance in the tier 2 cities as well. So here's a graph showing you how many companies, what sort of companies adopted BRSR in financial year 21-22. And so NBFCs, the financial services companies, were among the top ones to adopt BRSR. And then we had industries, and we had materials, and we had information technology companies going for BRSR as the top ones. So going towards the practical part, ये एक extract है HUL की report से, हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर की BRSR report से. इसमें there is a question on principle 3 of NGRBC. हमने NGRBC के principles discuss किए थे, 9 principles, National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct. तो हर principle पे there are questions in the BRSR report principle wise. This is a question on principle 3 of NGRBC principles. Every NGRBC principle is linked to a sustainable development goal, and you will see the linkage in the report. So this is showing that the principle 3, which of NGRBC, it is linked to goal number 1, 3, 4, 5, 8 of sustainable development goals. Goal number 1 of SDG talks about no poverty, 3 about well-being. So this is how I was talking about that NGRBC or SDG. These are the two backbones of BRSR reporting. When you are going for BRSR report, you need to have knowledge about NGRBC principles, and you need to have knowledge about sustainable development goals on the global context. So let us look at what this question is asking. Does the entity have an equal opportunity policy as per the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act? So what is HUL reporting under this? So see, many laws, many acts are being discussed in the BRSR report. This is one such act, Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. So this is one area, ESG is one area where not only the CAs will work alone, but we have to collaborate with engineers, we have to collaborate with lawyers, we have to collaborate with many other professionals so as to give a comprehensive view and give a comprehensive assurance on the BRSR report. So even the lawyers catering to laws like Disabilities Act, they will be involved, and we all need to have a partnership. We need to have a collaboration. We need to have multidisciplinary firm for catering to these BRSR reports. What is HL reporting? We have a clear goal to have 5% of our workforce represented by people with disabilities by 2025. So they are saying 2025 तक हमारा 5% workforce होगा people with disabilities से represented. Then they are reporting on return to work and retention rates. Male and female rates are there, and the retention rate has been reported as 99.5% in totality. So this is how reporting is happening in BRSR report. And this is another example from Reliance Industries where it is being asked that how do you manage the waste? So they are showing that we process the waste, we recycle the waste, and even if after that if some waste is left, we have collaborated with a disposal facility where the remaining waste is disposed of. The non-hazardous waste that is also catered to, and we use the policy of reduce, reuse, and recycle at RII manufacturing sites. This is another principle 6 of NGRBC and an essential indicator. So ये क्या शो कर रहा है कि हम NGRBC के principle 6 पे report कर रहे हैं और ये एक mandatory indicator है waste management का. Similarly, we have reporting and water management. This is another one from HUL again. Again, SDG से linkage है यहाँ पे and principle 6 of NGRBC is being talked about. Water policies discuss करने के बाद what claim is HUL making? It is saying that through our initiatives, we have saved 2.6 trillion liters of water, which is more than the quantity required to meet drinking water needs of India's population for nearly 2 years. So look at the amount, look at the quantum and look at the way of claims they are making. If companies are making such kind of claims, इतने बड़े-बड़े claims कर रहे हैं, Hindustan Unilever is making such a claim, then obviously there is requirement of some third party to vouch these claims. And again, this is where the professionals step in. Yes, we have to work along with the engineers, we have to work along with other lawyers to cater to this business BRSR report, but this is where the opportunity lies. So not all parts of BRSR report will be important for us, but there are some questions on the economic angle, and even where the data is being collected related to water by others, we need to verify that yes, we need to verify the authenticity of the data, that yes, these are as per the reports prepared by the engineers, these are as per the readings of the various plants and machines that are there. So like when we go for statutory audits, we do vouching and verification. Similarly, here we have to make sure from various available documents that yes, whatever is being reported, those claims are good enough. So I'll show you one example of assurance that was there, and look at the level of assurance that is there. This is a figure that says how much emissions are there, how much greenhouse gas emissions are there from HUL. So the figure that is reported, they are saying that the numerator of this figure has been calculated by BSR and Company LLP and audited by them. And the numerator of the emissions is calculated by PwC. So the denominator and the numerator of a single figure have been calculated by two different big chartered accountancy firms. And look at the level of reporting that is needed. Look at the level of data that has to be collected for this kind of report. Then we have the sustainability report from IKEA, and they presented their report in a very good way. You can all go to YouTube and you can search for this IKEA sustainability report, and you can see the manner in this, the way in which it has presented the same. So I'm not, because there's some audio problem, I'm not playing it right now. You can see it later on YouTube. So I'll discuss some interesting ESG initiatives that are there and some terms. So carbon-free cement. Again, with this, I'll explain you something like tax credits which are there in the US for this. So carbon is one of the major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. And because of this, there are many startups in this field that have come up with low carbon footprint cements. And what do they say? That they will achieve carbon neutrality by 2050 with these low carbon footprint cements. Now, again, where does our role come in? So, New Jersey, it is one of the first US states that has passed a law to promote low carbon concrete use through business tax credits. So, they have given tax credits, they have come up with this concept of tax credits, and they'll be provided to the businesses who are using low concrete carbon. So, this is how tax credits will promote these sustainable initiatives. Then there's this concept from Coca-Cola. It has, placed reverse vending machines where you can put the Coca-Cola bottles into the vending machines and they'll be recycled. The used bottles. Solar paint concept I already discussed in case of the car in the beginning. Then these are the professional opportunities that are there in the ESG landscape. So sustainability consulting is one area. So all the companies for whom it is mandatory and all their downstream partners and their upstream partners, the MSME people who are catering to the listed companies, who are dealing with the listed companies, even for them, sustainability initiatives are important because indirectly they are contributing to the sustainable part of the listed company. तो MSMEs के लिए भी और listed companies के लिए भी there is an opportunity as for being a sustainability consultant. इसमें वो क्या क्या sustainability initiatives ले सकते हैं at each point of their life cycle of the product and services. Then how can they obtain ESG ratings? So there's a concept of ESG ratings. Like we have ratings from CRISIL, ICRA and all. तो जो कंपनी जितना सस्टेनेबल कंप्लाइंट है, जितनी सस्टेनेबली एफिशिएंट है, उनको उस बेसिस पे ESG रेटिंग्स मिलती है. Again, ESG rating providers have been deployed by SEBI only. So, sustainability consulting is one field. Managing CSR programs, the concept that came up under Companies Act 2013 is another area. Policy development. So apart from the environmental aspect, social and governance aspect is there. So whatever policies should be there for employee safety at workplace, for equality, for gender equality, for inclusive development, all these come into policy development. And again, where the point comes for policy framing, we as professionals are always there to contribute to this. Then there'll be white papers and articles on ESG trends, aiding investment firms to analyze ESG risks and opportunities. So all the investment portfolios now, they also make sure that some chunk of the investment portfolio is towards green financing. So we have green mutual funds now, we have green securities now, even they have been issued in India also. Green bonds concept is there in India also, that I'll take you through the coming slides. Then a lot of corporate trainings are happening and towards sustainability. Then ESG related legal issues are there because we all saw the concept of greenwashing. So when scandals and scams happen related to greenwashing, then they have to be addressed by the lawyers and professionals like us. Then another area. So I discussed the economic impact analysis of some coal company or PSU already. And then there are industry specific approaches like there's a concept of green steel which has just come up. एक green steel taxonomy government ने introduce की है just a week back only. So they have defined कि steel के production में if you use this much of carbon, if this much of carbon is being used in this much production of steel, तो आपका steel green माना जाएगा या नहीं. So if you are using less amount of carbon in production of your steel, it will be green steel. And they have given a rating mechanism on a scale of 1 to 5 that this will be 5-star rated steel if you use less carbon. So green steel का concept आ गया है. LEED certification है for green buildings. Whatever buildings are following green practices, they are following sustainability initiatives, they are being given this LEED certification in India. So this is how the steel industry, this is how the RERA industry, the construction industry, they are all adopting sustainable initiatives, and a responsibility, a burden has been laid on them by the government to follow green practices. Then we have, if you look at the import-export policies and we look at the global front, a lot of companies have to now comply with the CBAM mechanism that is there in Europe. So इसमें CBAM mechanism में government ने क्या किया है? European agencies ने, European government ने, to make sure that they meet their carbon targets by 2030 and by 2055, they said कि जो भी products import हो रहे हैं यूरोप में, we won't allow those products to contribute to carbon emission of Europe. So whatever products and services are being imported in Europe, उनका carbon footprint भी regulate हो रहा है, monitor हो रहा है by the European agencies. So this is called cross-border adjustment mechanism. जो भी exporters हैं, जो भी export कर रहा है यूरोप को, be it industry people or be it service people, these industries are covered mainly aluminium, cement, iron, steel. These are the major contributors to GHG gases, greenhouse gases. So they have to go through a whole compliance mechanism before entering the European market. So I came across one chemical company, one company that is into manufacturing of chemical plants. और उनको because they are exporters of their plants, so before installation, before getting permission for installation of their plant in Europe, they had to be compliant with this cross-border adjustment mechanism. So this is how imports and exports will be impacted in future because of sustainability aspect. Then we have the scheme of tax credits that we discussed for carbon cement. Then we have government schemes like in Delhi we have FAME scheme by the government, which is there for electric buses. So all the buses that have been started under the electronic mode, the public buses, the government buses, they are being given incentives and benefits under the FAME scheme. Then there's e-drive scheme by the government, which is again promoting use of hybrid vehicles and electronic vehicles in Delhi. Then we have the concept of green finance, where we can play our role as professionals because SIDB, there are many banks now, and especially banks like SIDB, they are giving sustainability linked loans. वो लोग green loans दे रहे हैं, sustainable linked loans दे रहे हैं to undertake these sustainability initiatives. And now slowly it has become a way of a point of prestige, a point of reputation for the listed companies as well as some of the investment portfolios and the investor analysts to showcase in their portfolio that yes, we have some chunk of green finance in the portfolio. So I'll give you an example. कुछ exercises Like we had the concept of GST implementation. जब GST आया था 2017 में, so a lot of people, lot of companies, lot of big corporates, they had already started with the practice of getting GST implemented, getting GST ready from 2015 or 2016 itself. So same is the concept in ESG. Getting ESG ready is a very big concept, and all the listed companies and all the MSME clients, MSME vendors and suppliers who cater to these listed companies, they are all, approaching the professionals at how we can be ESG compliant to maintain our business with the listed companies in future, to sustain our businesses with them. Because in future, if you are not ESG compliant, if some MSME is not ESG compliant, they will lose their business to the listed companies. बिकॉज स्लोली जो वैल्यू चेन की रिपोर्टिंग है, जो वैल्यू चेन का डिस्क्लोजर है और जो वैल्यू चेन का अश्योरेंस है अंडर BRSR रिपोर्ट, दैट इज गोइंग टू स्टार्ट. And all the MSMEs, especially in the steel sector and electricity sector, they all have a pressure from the listed companies to be ESG compliant. And sometimes getting ESG ready जो concept है उसमें what we do as professionals, we analyze the whole business cycle, the whole product and goods cycle of the entities, and we just tell them that you're already sustainable at these points and you have alternatives and substitutes to be more sustainable by employing these practices. So I'll give you one example. What happened with the introduction of digital signature certificates? There are few banks who went completely digital in terms of signing. So banks on a daily basis, they execute they a large number of documents, and a lot of agreements are there: rent agreements, locker agreements, and a number of agreements. So a lot of paper was saved due to the introduction of digital signature certificates by the banks, which adopted this practice fruitfully in the true sense. So banks could not identify that yes, this is a sustainability initiative. So when you go as a professional and you carry out this exercise of getting ESG ready, you can identify such things for the entities and you can tell them that yes, this thing can be reported in your sustainable report, that this thing can be reported in your BRSR report as your sustainability initiatives. तो कुछ कंपनीज के ऑलरेडी सस्टेनेबिलिटी इनिशिएटिव्स हैं दैट दे आर अंडरटेकिंग, बट दे डू नॉट नो अबाउट इट. उनको ये नहीं पता कि हम ये रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. दे हैव नॉट आइडेंटिफाइड इट. So this is all what comes in the exercise of getting ESG ready. Then we have standards on sustainability. So again, we as professionals have a role to study and research and analyze these standards and make businesses comply with these standards and report on the level of compliance with these standards. ESG ratings concept I've already discussed with you. So I'll discuss this concept, and then maybe if we have any questions, we can take them. SRMM. So if we talk about the standards, I talked about International Standard Sustainability Board. They have their international standards on sustainability. हमारे institute ने our own C institute that has also come up with sustainability standards. We have our SRSB committee, sustainability committee in the institute itself, and they have a certificate course on ESG that is happening. And a lot of batches now, over 25 batches have happened, both physically and virtually. Physical, they have just started, and virtual, a lot of batches have been conducted already. So, Institute is also doing a lot in the sustainability landscape in terms of certificate courses also, and in terms of BRSR reporting also. Institute के standards भी आ गए हैं sustainability पे. And this is another concept, SRMM, which our own C Institute has come up with. What does it say? So any of you, if you are aware with the concept of AQMM, Audit Quality Maturity Model, that is there. जब हम अपनी फर्म का peer review कराते हैं तो उसमें एक section होता है AQMM का, जिसमें they ask you about what is the quality of audit services that you're rendering और उसका क्या maturity level है. There's a rating mechanism, there's a scoring mechanism. तो सेम इज द कॉन्सेप्ट इन SRMM की कंपनीज का क्या मेच्योरिटी लेवल है इन टर्म्स ऑफ सस्टेनेबिलिटी. So it is a framework to assess and improve organization sustainability reporting practices. It is specially for sustainability reporting, and it has been developed by our own institute, developed by Sustainability Reporting Standards Board of ICAI. And if we move further, these are the levels of sustainability reporting. We have now version 2 of SRMM. So stage these are the various stages of SRMM. जब company initially sustainability initiatives adopt करती है, तो it is at the formative stage. So it says अगर आपने up to 25% स्कोर कर लिया तो यू फॉल विद इन लेवल 1, द फॉर्मेटिव स्टेज. यहाँ पे कंपनी क्या कर रही है, दे आर एट द इनिशियल लेवल ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग, और वो आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं प्रोसेसेस ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग ऑन BRSR. बाय level 4 we have the emerging stage and we have the established stage, and the last stage is level 4 where the company has achieved maturity more than 75%. So here the company is not only properly reporting on BRSR, but they are going beyond it. They are making some differentiation. They are using some innovative methods. So this is how the stages and the levels travel in the sustainability reporting maturity model. And then slowly there'll be, benchmark and ideal SRMM scores that will be there in the industry. So every particular industry and every particular organization will strive to attain that score in SRMM when they are reporting. Then I talked about ESG finance. So ESG finance may NHAI has recently issued green bonds worth rupees 1,000 crores. And this is there for their Delhi Mumbai Expressway project. And they to use environment friendly initiatives while carrying out this project, they have issued these bonds. Then there's another example from this, which we see in our daily lives. This is an order from Zomato that is there, and Zomato gives you an option now that you can choose delivery through an electric vehicle or the normal vehicle. So the delivery through an electric vehicle might be a little delayed, but then it contributes to cleaner air, and they also show you the amount of carbon footprint that will be saved because of delivery through electric vehicle. So, if you notice carefully now, whenever you travel through flight, you will also notice on the tickets, on the flight tickets, the amount of carbon footprint that is there because of that particular flight, and the amount that they save because of various initiatives. And in the listed companies, again, the travel ticket of your employees that also contributes to the carbon footprint of the company. So this is how various things in the around us will impact sustainability. Then recently BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, they purchased 50,250 tons of certified carbon dioxide removals from Climb 5. So look at the amount of trading that is happening. The Indian carbon market is there, that is not as much developed now, that is not as much matured now. But the European countries, they are the European and US market, they are so much developed that this much amount of carbon trading is happening over those markets. So slowly and gradually, when this concept becomes matured in India, we can imagine the amount of carbon trading happening. Then we have concept of green money and green bonds, and I'll show you the green bonds that have been issued in India. So green bonds issuance started from 2015 in India, and by 2023, a lot of green bonds have been issued. Major green bonds were issued in the year 2021. That was also the year when BRSR reports had come up for the first time. And what are green bonds basically? So they are just like the other bonds. However, they are focused on renewable energy, natural resources, clean transportation, all these green things. And the main thing is that they come with an end use restriction. So they can be used on the proceeds of these green bonds, they can be only used in the green projects. So green financing is again one area where we can play our role as professionals. This is an example of environmental impact assessment that I was talking about. So, like we professionals carry out economic impact assessment, you can have an overview of this environmental impact assessment. So क्या होता है कोई भी project launch करने से पहले कोई भी company when it goes for launching some project it has to decide in advance that what will be the environmental impact of this project. They do the screening, they do the scoping, they do impact analysis, then they do the mitigation कि हमने ये plan किया है project में, suppose we have plan A but then there is some plan B which can reduce the environmental impact, which can be more sustainable in terms of the social aspect also and governance aspect also. So then they plan such mitigation in advance before launching the project. They report about this and then they do the review and decision making through this report. So see, all this exercise is happening before launching of a project. This is in terms of environment. Same thing happens in terms of social and governance aspect, and there's an economic aspect to it also, which is the cost benefit analysis. And then monitoring and compliance is done after the project is launched, that yes, it is in line with all these things. So economic impact is one area where again we professionals will play a role. And then this is all from my side. Now, if you have any questions, we can discuss them. We can always connect offline also, and these are my details for any questions.
Yes, we have one query.
So
So
ESG audit and ESG assurance is the same thing right now. Assurance, so for the BRSR reports that are there, assurance has come up for the core part. So I had discussed 9 core areas of BRSR, like the water footprint, the greenhouse gas footprint, the equality footprint. All these have been identified. And in areas पे companies को reporting mandatory है in BRSR report और उन्हीं areas पे assurance mandatory है. So, till now, 2024-25 was the first year when reasonable assurance was given for these 9 core areas in BRSR, and slowly it will increase. So, economic EIA is environmental impact assessment. इसमें CS का स्कोप वहाँ पे होगा जहाँ पे पॉलिसीज फ्रेम करनी है. And report is to be prepared in compiling all the data that has been analyzed. And apart from the environmental impact, we have the economic impact of a project. There, that in that area, in the economic impact assessment, CAs will play a major role. So some people are saying will connect offline. So yes, you are always welcome to connect offline for queries.
I think if they have
Yeah,
query, then they can connect here as well, so that other people, other members who have joined can get the benefit.
yeah. If you have queries right now, we can all discuss. It will be a better discussion with all
Yeah,
the
exactly.
participants. I will share the presentation with JCAG and they can share it forward.
So I think
Yeah.
so. Thank you, Anushri. It was really a wonderful session, and the work you have put in a lot of efforts on preparing this presentation. It's showing it. It's really wonderful. And you have shown a really a new professional era apart from other things which traditional we are doing, and it's a really good. And as even the government is also promoting the green energy in resident Rajasthan, we have also seen that how government is proactive on promoting this. So thank you so much. Yes, there's one query. One query is there's a company which has taken scope 2 and 3 and net zero targets to have. Just a second.
So I think the query is incomplete. Maybe sir is still typing.
Okay, let's
Does
wait.
a company which has taken scope 2, 3 and net zero targets to have decarbonization?
I
So
think
what I can
I think instead
understand.
of writing, he can
Sorry,
display,
actually,
please.
Vinod Jain here. Yeah, sorry,
Yes,
can you
please.
hear me? Actually, I'm traveling, that's why I thought. So I work in a company and take care of ESG requirements. So we, home textile, we are into manufacturer and exporter, five-star export house. I'm calling from Mumbai. So I wanted to understand, like we have taken scope 2, scope 3, scope 1, all these targets, and net zero target also of 2040. Like India has taken net zero target of 2070. So though I opposed various consultants already evaluating it. So, but is it good to have a decarb strategy for the company in order to have year-wise plan? So that is what I wanted to have because some people have suggested us. And as a corporate also, because we also understand that we should have some roadmap so that year by year we can evaluate and see where we stand. This is my the query, I think.
So, good query. So, yes, it is always better to have a decarb roadmap because if you have a roadmap that yes, we are decarbonizing these many things and you have a set timeline and you have a set target, then you can, there's more motivation to follow those targets and follow those strategies and follow those timelines. And with the roadmap in place, you will also be able to monitor and analyze that what has been achieved and where you are lacking. So yes, it should be developed.
Yeah. Thank you. And one more query I have, like we export a lot to Europe also. So like
Mhm.
Europe, that ESPR has come now. So that
Yes,
digital
yes.
product passport. So we are working on that. So is it related with traceability also? Like we are evaluating some tools also. So
Mhm.
should we consider have a integrated tool which take care of all our ESG compliances as well as our traceability requirement from digital product passport point of view?
Again, that is your call. That is the company's call. So if you like, it's about using softwares and tools. So obviously they will be helpful, but then it comes with a cost also. So it depends on how many times you have to, mm, give that reporting, how many times you have to prepare that compliance report. If it is feasible from the economic point of view, you can go for those tools.
Yeah, financially we have a budget and that is not an issue.
Yes, because this is a new concept, this is an evolving area. So yes, technology tools have come up, but then they are with a heavy cost right now. Slowly and gradually, when this concept becomes more mature, the cost will also reduce for the softwares and all. So you can plan accordingly.
Right. Thank you so much. I'll get in touch with you offline. Thank you, madam.
Sure, sir, sure.
So thank you, Anushri, once again for sparing your valuable time and sharing your vast knowledge over ESG. So, okay. So I think we can complete the session.
Okay,
Thank
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.